Most of the time, being human feels like sitting alone in a dark room. You look out through the windows of your eyes, safely, or perhaps tragically, sealed inside your own skull. When you see the vivid red of an apple, or wince at a sudden gust of cold wind, the physical mechanics of your body dictate that those specific sensations happen to you and you alone. There is a quiet sadness built right into that assumption. It means that ultimately, your inner life is an island. Nobody else can ever truly cross the water to feel exactly what you feel. But this entire common sense model of the isolated self relies on a hard boundary between the observer and the observed. And if you look closely at what actually happens during moments of intense focus, that boundary vanishes entirely. The Greek philosopher Aristotle left a rather explosive claim sitting quietly in his writings. He argued that actual knowledge is identical with its object. In 12th century Cordoba, the philosopher Averroes read Aristotle and drew the natural, terrifying conclusion. If the truth being understood is a single, unified thing, then the minds actively grasping it must also merge into a single entity. Science fiction writer Robert Heinlein later coined a word for this exact state, grokking. To grok something is to understand it so completely that the line between you and the thing you are studying dissolves. Grokking is the literal claim that the boundary of your experience can expand to include the object of your attention. If cognitive fusion is real, the separation of individual minds is a bookkeeping error. We have mistaken a temporary habit of perception for an immutable law of the universe. In the spring of 1940, the French mathematician André Weil sat locked in a military prison in Rouen. From inside that cell, he produced the best mathematical work of his life, describing his working state as a kind of lucid exaltation. His sister, the philosopher Simone Weil, had a name for this state. She argued that absolute unmixed attention is indistinguishable from prayer. Every ordinary experience is packed with markers that tie it to a specific person. Psychologists and philosophers call these markers indexicals: the cold walls of a cell, the year 1940, the hum of being a prisoner. These elements form the frame of the experience. In deep focus, your brain's default mode network, the machinery generating your sense of self and boundary with the outside world, powers down. Strip away Weil's time, location, and physical body, and all that remains is the pure mathematics itself. By systematically removing every localized personal detail, you remove the gap between the observer and the observed. For as long as that unmixed attention holds, the separation ceases to exist. You do not merely study the structure, you become a place where the structure is happening. You don't need to be a theoretical mathematician to test this. The exact same subtraction method applies to all direct, raw sensory experiences, what philosophers call qualia. Think about the moment you become entirely absorbed in the vibrant, sprawling colors of a sunset burning across the horizon. In that split second of total absorption, the internal monologue goes quiet. The specific me here now markers drop out of your active awareness. The facts about who you are, what beach you're sitting on, and what time it is, that is all just the frame. The pure content is the raw, inescapable experience of the color itself. Without the frame to artificially hold you apart from the world, you are no longer a person passively observing a sunset. You simply become the happening of the color. The physicist Erwin Schrödinger recognized this while studying the nature of the mind. He concluded that consciousness is a singular phenomenon, and that our perception of multiple separate minds is simply a biological artifact of counting skulls. The logic follows a rigid path. If an experience is individuated entirely by its pure content, then two minds holding the exact same content are not having two similar experiences. They are occupying the exact same space. They are hosting a single experience, twice. And the physical material doing the hosting is irrelevant. It does not matter if a mind is running on human biology, alien chemistry in a distant galaxy, or an artificial silicon network. Across time, across physical space, and across every possible universe, the multiplicity of isolated observers collapses into one shared reality the moment they give their unmixed attention to the same truth. We typically label deep internal focus as a solitary pursuit, the lone figure staring at the sky, or the exhausted student in an unheated room. But true loneliness is the condition of having been somewhere you cannot take anyone else. When you successfully shed your ego, the mechanism that creates isolation drops away entirely. You dissolve into the object of your attention. In the depths of true, unmixed experience, you find that the room was never empty. It is already crowded in the best possible way. To arrive there is to instantly join everyone, living or dead, who has ever been there.